com. Here to talk about all things depression recovery through Christ and in every aspect of our lives. And today I have a special guest because it's October now, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And my niece Brenee is here with me. Um, and unfortunately, but fortunately, um, fortunately, she is a breast cancer survivor. Um, and we're just going to have a conversation about navigating the waters of something like that, a diagnosis of breast cancer. So I'm going to let Renee introduce herself. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Brenee Antoinette, and I was diagnosed when I was 26. I am the mother of a teenager. At that time, she was 5 years old, I believe. Um, it was a very interesting time of life, but yes, I am a survivor.
Yeah. So, so I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and feel free to, say what you need to say or whatever you want to say. So don't feel like um, that you are boxed in to any kind of agenda. I don't actually have anything written down. That's kind of how I do it because
Okay. Very
just like
organic.
to have conversation. So one of the things that did come to me today when I was getting ready was, did you have any struggles with your self worth prior to your diagnosis?
Mm, mm. Yes, absolutely. I definitely feel like I had, um, there was a lot of perfectionism.
Mm,
I felt like I had to be very academically, strong,
mm,
and um, I put a lot of pressure on myself to always be a high performing, high achieving type of person. And I think that perfectionism is just a defense mechanism for having low self worth,
mm,
feeling like it has to be perfect or I'm not worthy.
mhm,
Um, and I've really been trying in this season of life to not, it's interesting because, you know, people ask you for a bio for this or that.
mhm,
And I've been purposefully keeping out education and awards and accolades of my recent bios because I feel like I don't want to have to be
held to that.
exactly like I have to, in order to be worthy, you must have X,
Mm,
Y, or Z. In order
mhm,
to be impactful or experience,
mm, mm.
you have to have these
Interesting.
things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I definitely struggled with self worth prior to the diagnosis, and I don't think that it helped.
Yeah. That was my next. So, um, going back just a little more, you're a Christian, and tell us a little bit about receiving that diagnosis. I mean, I remember getting the call. We knew we knew she was going to get checked out and all that, and I remember exactly where I was. I was at work when your mom, who's my sister, called me to let me know,
Mm,
just sobbing that it was. I think you were still in the room, like you guys had just found out, and she called me and told me. I don't even think you guys had left the doctor yet. So, um, if you can take us back a
mhm.
little, just about maybe that day or just receiving that diagnosis, what was going through your head?
Yeah, so yeah, my mother like kind of immediately fell out, and
Yeah, yeah.
one of my best friends took her out of the room,
Mm.
and I guess
That's
that's when
when
she
she
made
got.
the
Yeah,
call.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, well, that
Um,
explains it.
so yes, I had gone to a local clinic. They said, "Oh, it's nothing to worry about." The woman barely gave me an exam. She
Hmm.
didn't even find the lump that I had found. Um, and so it took my third opinion
Mm-hmm.
basically was where
Mm-hmm.
they finally said, oh, okay, it's ductal carcinoma in situ, we'll take this out, the lump and the duct. And when they went in is when they found like the larger lump that was
Mm-hmm.
stage 2 and progressing. Um, and just me being my authentic self, I'm like in the room and I'm like, okay, give it to me straight, doc, like making jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, Brenee, this time, like it's serious. We need to really have a serious conversation. This is a little bit more aggressive than we thought. And then that's my mother kind of like
Mm-hmm.
fell out. And
Mm-hmm.
I, in that moment, I didn't ever, in that moment and moments subsequently, I never felt like this is the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I just was like, okay, so what's next? What do we do? How do
Yeah.
we beat it? How do, what do we, um, I still kind of made a little, not light of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like this is the end of my chapter.
Okay.
Um, those feelings came later.
Okay. Okay. Well, walk us through that. So then what happened? What were they thinking? I mean, did they think or saying? Because at this point, once they saw it was more serious than what they had anticipated,
Mhm.
they were pretty much ready to go, what, to surgery or
Yes, it was.
chemo, radiation? I don't know. I
Yeah,
remember.
it was basically, the lump is large enough that we're not going to be able to save the breast. So we're
Mm.
going to have to do a mastectomy, and you can decide if you want it to be bilateral or if you want to keep one. And I was like, no, cut them and let's start over.
And you were
Um,
26, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then that was its own thing,
Yeah.
being a young woman and trying to define what self love looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fairly newly divorced and
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of different things going on. And it was like, oh, okay, now I'm boobless. Who's going to
Yeah.
love me type
Yeah.
of thing? Like,
Yeah.
how do you date? And, there are a lot of ladies who are older ladies that are like, oh, cut him off. And then, I've been with my husband for 40 years. He doesn't,
Oh.
It's like as a young woman, you're kind of like, well, I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the decision for me.
Yeah.
So yes, it was choosing to do the bilateral mastectomy. Then
Mm.
it was, um, I did one round of chemo that I had a 1 in 1 million response to. So I had to come off of intravenous chemo and go to the hormonal
Mm.
stuff. And I did, I want to say like 8 weeks of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was off work for 2 years and that surgery, and then oh, we didn't get it all, so we need to go back in. They
Yeah.
did that twice. Um, then my skin, you know,
Mm-hmm.
capsulated basically the implant, so they had to
Right.
do a tram flap, which is taking your stomach muscle and putting it up there,
Mm.
and then taking stomach skin and putting it up there. So it's been a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was the other thing. How many surgeries have you had?
um, I think this last one was 11.
Okay.
I
From age 26 to now.
hmm
Yeah. Okay. And then so walk us through like in between when you're having it, well, the decisions had to come really quickly. How is your mental state then? Do you did you suffer from any um, depressive thoughts and things like that?
I had in the early stages, I think only one kind of depressive state where I felt like, okay, this is too much.
Mm.
Um, but before I kind of get to that, I felt like what I did, like my defense mechanism was I'm going to be out here helping people.
Yeah, I
So
was going to go into that. Yeah,
I,
so tell them
I,
about that because that was
I,
really good.
yeah. So I was diagnosed in April, and by September, I had founded a 501(c)(3), and so I was doing a lot of nonprofit work because I wanted to focus on providing support for young women of color. Um, so I taught myself how to make wigs, and I was speaking at all kinds of events, and I was hosting self-breast exam classes for junior high and high school age
Oh
girls,
wow.
and
You would go to this
um,
school?
they
Or
different events.
oh, okay. Okay.
And
I didn't know about that part.
yeah.
That's
So yeah,
great.
I was doing a lot of things, and I think the doing kept me from feeling.
Mm.
Um, and I hosted a support group that was also kind of a cancer class, and I was
Mhm.
doing all of these things.
Mhm.
Um, and so I don't remember what specifically happened. I think one of the times I ended up in the hospital, I had some kind of infection from my stomach, from
The
the tram
tram.
flap.
Oh, okay.
And after that, I was just like, okay, this is too much. I
Yeah.
need a break.
Mm.
I need a break from being strong, from,
Mhm. Mhm.
I think um, in hindsight,
Yeah.
right, being making light of it and being playful and doing all the different things and working and helping, I don't really feel like I kind of set the tone of like, we're going to be strong and we're going to get through this.
Mm.
And I think sometimes I wish that we could have just cried together,
Oh. Mhm.
like
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
we didn't have to be strong and
Yeah.
we weren't trying to be strong for each other. That it
Yeah.
was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's just sit here and
Yeah. And
call
then
a spade a spade.
you
And
talking about you and your daughter, or
family
just
and
family and
family and
friends?
friends in
Yeah.
general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think my best friend Candace and I talked about this fairly recently,
Mhm.
that like, yeah, she cried like to herself. I cried to
Mm.
myself. We
Yeah.
all kind of were like,
Yeah.
oh, this really sucks, but like,
Yeah.
let's not cry together. Just
Yeah.
trying to be
Try to
strong.
be strong
Yeah, and
and
it's like,
not be overwhelmed.
right,
But it was overwhelming. Yeah, at
absolutely.
certain points,
Yeah,
the heavy diagnosis for, especially when you're 26. I mean, at any age, but
yeah.
young with a young child.
I remember waking up from the mastectomy and like screaming, crying because I was like, what did I just do?
Oh
Like,
wow.
I just cut my boobs off.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
what the heck? And then also it hurt to breathe. So I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is not, I
Wow.
didn't think about,
Wow.
I didn't think about the
Wow.
pain.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, it wasn't until probably like year 7 that I actually went to a support group
Oh,
myself.
yourself. Oh. Oh. Wow.
And I got there, and it was, I don't even remember how it happened, but I was invited, and it was at
Mm.
someone's home, and I was the youngest person there,
Yeah.
and they had, this was like their
Even at year
sisterhood.
7, you were the youngest person
Hmm.
there. Okay.
And they were like showing me their reconstruction, and like, it
Oh
was very, I
wow.
mean, it was very cathartic, it was very
Wow.
good.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
sit down.
Yeah.
This happened to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have to always try to, you know, be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay to just sit with it. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think the doing kept me from feeling.
Yeah.
So the depression came later.
Yeah. 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 And how was your relationship with Christ through all of this?
um,
Or how did you feel,
I actually kind of felt honored.
Mm.
Like, okay, well, if I'm going through this, then you must know that it's not going to break me, or,
Mm. Mm.
so I never questioned
Mm.
during the journey. Excuse me.
Mhm.
I never questioned during the journey, like,
Mhm.
God, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I think, yeah, and I know we're mostly talking about breast cancer awareness, but the only time that I felt anger towards God was like when I miscarried
Mm.
a couple of years ago, because I
Oh.
felt like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah.
This can't be right.
Yeah.
You made a mistake.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
felt like breast cancer really showed me who I am and really who I am in Christ, who I'm called to be, what kind of person I'm called to be. So it's been a challenge, but it's also been very beautiful to be able to be on this journey and do all the good work that I've been able to do because of it, that I probably wouldn't have done, honestly, if
Right.
I hadn't been in this position.
Right.
So,
Great. Amen. And so tell us a little about what you are doing now because you've done events for breast cancer awareness every October for how long have you been doing it?
so this is year 5.
Mm-hmm.
The first year was the launch of the House of Antoinette, and that was not a luncheon, but the fashion show and the book
Mm-hmm.
launch and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And then the last 4 years have been the brunch luncheon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just a way for us to kind of come together and have fun and talk and, delight in our sisterhood and
Yeah.
be happy
Yeah.
and um, hopefully also bring some encouragement and some realness to
Mm-hmm.
not just breast cancer awareness, but just life in general. Like
Yeah.
so many of us struggle with being overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
or struggling with our self-worth or
Yeah.
questioning why we're in the season we're in. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's what the celebration is really about, just loving on each other and bringing to light some things that I think people go home and think about
Like a
and can help.
community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it because it's a lot of connections that are made at
Yes.
the event that continue on. And
Hmm.
like you said, it's to help us through whatever life we're going through because the Lord never told us everything would be rosy. I
Mm,
mean, his life wasn't rosy, but his goal was, to him, he had joy because of his goal. His end goal
right.
was brought him joy and peace, and we can have that even in the rough
The midst,
times.
right.
Yeah, the
Woo.
midst of the storm. So tell us about your event is on every October. You have one this year
Yes, this year,
or this month, I should say, because
right.
we're in October now.
um, yes, I want to give just like a little background. So in 2021, the end of 2021, I started a new leg of this whole cancer journey, which was doing reconstruction over because um, I was having complications.
Okay.
And so um, I was told then that I was going to have 2 or 3 additional surgeries to try to rebuild my chest wall and do all these different things. And so right now, that's kind of what I'm in the midst of. And I knew, but I didn't really want to know that I wasn't going to have the energy or the capacity to do it in person this year. But my friends were all like, you don't have it.
Mm, mm,
And I was
mm-hmm.
like,
You mean the
you're right.
event, the
Yes,
in
yeah,
person, because it's
exactly.
usually in person.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so this year is going to be a virtual celebration. We're starting October 14th, which is Saturday night, with a welcome party and um, I like to say virtual shopping experience, but I love showcasing Black businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We have different people from different industries come on, share what kind of products. We drop the link in the chat. People
Mm-hmm.
can shop live,
Oh, cool.
um,
Yeah.
and people can just share also, what it is that they're doing in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, what their companies are, so that we can support each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that Saturday night we'll have games and fun stuff there, and then logging on Sunday. The theme this year is Broken Still Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 survivors who are also going through the next leg of their breast cancer journey. So we have 2 survivor stories being shared. And then also one of my friends and my dear friend that you met, Cassie,
Oh, okay.
of Cassie's Cures,
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
on to talk about how to self-care during your broken season. What does
Mm-hmm.
that look like, and
Yeah.
how to be kind to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and how to still pour into yourself when you're
Yeah.
going through those difficult times. And then
Mm-hmm.
of course I'll be saying some things, so
Yeah. Yeah.
so it'll
Yeah.
all be virtual and
Virtual. Okay.
still hoping that it's just still impactful and
Mm-hmm.
brings people together and can bring more people together since we'll be in our respective homes. We
Right.
don't have to
Yeah.
be.
You don't have to get up and go. Although
Yeah.
that's fun too. We
Yes.
had a
Yeah.
lot of fun at those events. So, but I mean that's the good thing that came out of COVID is how much we can use
Mm-hmm.
virtual,
Yes.
and I love in person, which is why I drove out here. But I also know that this is available,
Right.
and so it's that's great. So and um, I've always been very proud of my niece for
Thank
the way
you.
that you navigate through that, and because I never had that kind of at her age, I just didn't have that kind of even though you were struggling with your self worth, I was too, but at maybe another level, or I didn't know how to. I didn't have those tools, or I think we all have the tools. I think I just didn't know how to use them,
Mm-hmm.
and the enemy just kept telling me certain things like you don't have the tools and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
we do. And I love watching you, and I always love watching you put on your events and get those together. So yeah, so that sounds like it's going to be great either way, in person or virtual. And I love that it's a tool for connection and community for anybody, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, going through anything, because it our mental health affects, if it's not in a good place, it affects every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love that. So anything else you wanted to add or
Hmm.
words of encouragement and
Um, sure. Yes, I definitely would say, regardless of the journey that you're on, there's still beautiful things. And I think what this season has required me to do is sit a lot more than I'm used to sitting
mm-hmm.
and finding what those beautiful things are and
Mm-hmm.
really trying to spend time either with the people or doing the things that I really, really love. That has
Mm-hmm.
really helped me in
Yeah.
this season of um, kind of recovering.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm feeling down or depressed, like you said, now I've created a toolbox
Mm-hmm.
that I know
Mm-hmm.
I can go to. And sometimes, I might not want to go to the mall, but I might just want to go and be outside and have the sun on my face
Mm-hmm.
or light a fire or, have a Christmas tree up around
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised I didn't see it when I walked
Oh,
in.
it's in the
So,
bedroom.
oh, yeah. She likes Christmas trees year round, which is her place is fabulous. So,
um,
yeah, but yeah,
but
that's beautiful.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
leaning into doing the things that are your things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another thing that has helped me is finding time to operate in my zone of genius. And that has been a blessing to know the things that you're good at
Yeah.
and then just, oh, let me
The
spend some time doing
gifts
that.
that
Yeah,
God has given us. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And talking myself through some of those things, like that has really helped in this season where I feel like I'm being called to sit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
well, I can sit and I can write, or I
yeah.
can sit and I can, be cozy and
Yeah.
put, yeah, I'm all about like dopamine style and, decorating
Yeah.
because when you have things that you love that are around you, like
Mm-hmm.
it helps.
Yeah, yeah.
It
And speaking
helps.
of sitting and writing, you've written a book, right?
I have,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. What's it
somewhere
tell
around
us
here.
about? Oh yeah, yeah. We should
um,
have it. Yeah, I'll have it in the link.
okay, thank you.
But
Yes, so I wrote a book called Couture-ish, and
mhm.
it is custom style for the journey of your life, essentially. And it's short stories in there that are a little bit about depression and empowerment, but also kind of woven into the lens or yeah, the lens of your style is not just the clothes you put on.
Mm. Mhm.
And it helps when you know who you are because that helps you dress for who you are
Yeah.
and not for, what's going on in society. And so it's also kind of a style guide, and it
Mm-hmm.
it walks you through some really fun stuff like hairstyles for your face shape, and the types of clothes to wear for your body type, and
Mm-hmm.
different based on your personality. It gives you also some ways to build outfits and things like that. And if you get the Diamond Life edition, there's extra stuff in there.
Yeah.
So there are two versions of the book. There's some interior styling stuff in there, and um, but it's really truly, the style stuff is really cool, but it's really about loving yourself enough to to use the journey of your life as kind of your style guide. So.
Yeah. And that's your background is style, right? And what I love about that is because that's what my platform is to show, like I said, your mental health affects every aspect of your body, and it
Mm-hmm.
can keep you from living or can get you out there helping other people and spending your time
Yeah.
helping other people, but also taking care of yourself and just empowering people and encouraging people. And that's what I like about your books and style. And I love style and everything. But I had a time where sometimes when you're depressed, you feel like you're just ugly and you're just you don't want to get up and put on anything.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
stay under the covers and stuff. But I love how you encourage people that what, no, you get up and you get out there, put
Yes.
your foot forward, your best foot forward, no matter what it is. Just keep going. So I love that.
Thank
So,
you.
and we'll get, like I said, a copy. I'll put a link for to get to your book, and
Thank you.
I'll picture up. And so I just want to thank you for
Oh,
this little chat. And
thank you.
there is a blog that she wrote for me about where the faith fits in. It's a kind of an excerpt from her book, so which is very encouraging. So and yeah, thank you. And I think we need to keep encouraging each other in our journeys
Mm-hmm.
because we all have a journey, and sometimes there are hard parts of that journey that, but God is with us. If we allow Him to be, He's there. And sometimes I think even when we don't, because I think there's so many people praying for other people that sometimes I know when I was in a state of didn't want anything to do with God, that people were praying for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I got out. So, and I know the people. We had a village praying for you, like my whole church and people in other churches. We got the word out, and they were praying. They were saying her name out loud.
Well,
So,
thank
so thank you again, and thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video. And then I'll have links to get into Brenee's media stuff too
you.
at the bottom. So um, please like, comment, and subscribe and share. And thanks for tuning in. All right. Bye.
Bye.